Fragments of silicon. It's like the world in your pocket.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam, and joining me, as always, are the other two-thirds of the Triangle of Terror. Still workshopping this.
Good.
Anyway, yes. Anyway, here's Petty Fan and Gollix.
Yes.
Yay! We have not been lost to the void yet.
I guess it's the Bermuda Triangle of Terror.
I mean, you're close enough to it.
Like you. That's like on the other side of the state.
I mean, better than being on the other side of the country for me? Well, damn near it.
Mind you, the Bermuda Triangle doesn't actually exist. It's
Yeah.
another one of those.
I mean, it does. It's a geographical description of an area, but there's nothing
Right.
special about the area, actually.
Yes. Anyway, before we get even more off track here, let's get to the news.
What's the other like? It's Bermuda, like friggin' the tip of Florida, and what, Cuba?
Later.
Sorry.
Anyway, Petty Fan, why don't you start us off on the news this week?
Let's see. Overall personal news, not a whole lot's been going on. But, apparently, my mom's work wants her working the phones. And her first day of doing that is on Thursday, so tomorrow.
I suppose that's a light duty.
Yeah.
Although there are certain hazards to sitting in one place for a long time.
And yeah, so that's kind of a pain, but she did actually talk to a lawyer now. And we learned that apparently Missouri has a statute of limitations on workers' comp cases that they neglected to mention to her. After 2 years, they could just say, yeah, no, we're done. And then all the rest of her care would be out of her own pocket.
Yeah, so it sounds like she better get on that.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I think once you start the process, you're good. But yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, talk to the lawyer about it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's for her to deal with.
We are not qualified to give out actual legal advice, I think.
Indeed. So yeah. She's going through a lawyer now, so hopefully this can be rectified soon.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, outside of that, I've been playing Hades because it just came out on Game Pass. So far, it's been fun.
Okay.
And wasn't able to do the. Oh wait, what? Were you saying something, Gollix?
No, sorry.
And I wasn't able to do the Digimon thing this week because Mom and this week was my capsule study to see what, if anything, is wrong with my small intestine. So that was fun. If anyone's had a colonoscopy, you know what I've been through.
Thankfully, I'm still a few years away from that.
I have not.
But yeah, I think that's it from me.
All right. Alex, you're up.
My parents got back home relatively uneventfully, although Dad's having some stomach issues, but nothing serious, I don't think. Work continues apace. I've done most of the stuff so far in Age of Calamity and have started. I did the first dungeon and I'm getting ready to do the second dungeon of Skyward Sword HD. Still doing MS Saga on Sundays with Mac, and that's still going pretty well. He's actually done at least some grinding off screen, which helps. And I don't know if there's anything else.
Okay. I guess it's my go then. Let's see. It's the biggest news of the week. It's the local Walmart is remodeling, and on top of that, the road by the Walmart is being remodeled in and of itself.
Fine.
So, yeah, that's been causing some traffic. Like, apparently they're not going to be done until fucking October. Well, I didn't say it was exciting news, but it is news. Minor traffic inconveniences. Like, outside of that, let's see. Mac's Kickstarter is still going technically, but I think it's safe to say this isn't going to reach its goal. I mean,
unless we get a lot of interest suddenly from somewhere that would involve someone promoting it more than they have been, and I think all of us have been doing our best with that. Not that that's much.
No, look, it's at 167 of 23,000. I don't think there's enough promotion in the world at this point to make this a success, because remember, Kickstarters are kind of on an arc. So they kind of, depend on the first 48 hours and the last 48 hours. We're still in the dead center. So, I mean, I guess it's possible that an angel investor might manifest from the abyss to fund this.
I'm just trying to be moderately positive.
I get that, but I'm like, I don't think there's a positive way to spin this.
Well, normally I try to be very positive about things like this, and I'm just being moderately positive here.
I get that, but that's not my personality. Like, you should know that by now. So 20 days. I mean, it'll probably come up on the other show, but it's gonna be depressing. Like, I just don't know how this is gonna meet out any other way. But it's like, from what I gathered, it's just this was more a time expedition thing rather than this thing is living or dying off the Kickstarter, which is good. Yeah, it's going to take longer for this to come out. So, good luck to them. And guess that's about it for my news. So, merrily, we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us this week is Bruce Nicou. Nicou? How do you pronounce that? Nicou. Okay.
Nicou. Yeah.
Nicou. Sorry.
It's Greek, so I don't blame you.
Okay. Bruce Nicou of Function Unknown. How are you doing today?
Hi. I'm doing quite well, eh?
Okay. I suppose we should start by noting that you're certainly our first South African developer, and one of the few developers from the just general African continent to appear on our broadcast.
There aren't many of us around, to be honest. In my whole game development career, I've only met 2 other South African game developers in real life. So there's very few of us still around,
Yeah. And I should also note, like, the last African developer we had was actually an American who happened to be living in Egypt. That's a whole story in and of itself. Anyway, so I would how we like to get started here is we like to get to know the people, the person behind the games, behind the studio, and all that jazz. And we start by asking this question: how did you get interested in video games, both on a personal and professional level? And I'm very keenly interested this time because, you know, South Africa doesn't come up much.
Okay. Well, it's actually been quite a long journey for me. Obviously, the same as most other people, I've been playing games since I've been a little kid. And me being in my 40s, I've been around since the 80s, so I've been playing all the 80s games that's been driving game development even till today. And I've always wanted to make games, and I've been dabbling in all sorts of things, everything except programming. So I've been doing audio, and I've been doing graphics and all those things. I've tried a few programming languages in the past, about 10, 15 years ago. It didn't go too well. I tried Flash and things like that. And my professional game development career actually came up through a Humble Bundle, which was quite interesting. Humble Bundle offered a $1 bundle, and with it you got Game Maker for $1. So I'm like, hey, why not? Let's give it a try. It's only $1. And 3 months later, I started making Alpha Particle. And 4 years later, it was finished. So that's how it started for me professionally, for $1.
I gotta admit, I don't think we've had anyone come through any of the Humble Bundles till now. So, I mean,
yeah, well, it was a lifesaver for me, to be honest.
in what manner of speaking?
In a manner of speaking, that, like I said, I've tried programming multiple times, and I knew I wanted to be a game developer. And because of Game Maker and that $1 bundle, it slingshot me through where I'm now. I grasped everything. Everything started working for me through this bundle specifically.
Okay, and I suppose, there are quite a few questions that could pertain to mastering Game Maker, but I don't think we want to get too technical on that side of things. So I'll just ask, what parts did you find in terms of working with Game Maker that were easy, and what parts were difficult, if that can be quantified?
Well, the thing that made it the easiest for me in Game Maker is if you middle mouse click on any function or any built-in function or built-in variable in Game Maker, it opens up a help system that properly shows you and explains and gives you examples of what the problem is. That is not available in all programming languages. So in other programming languages, you have to either go online, you have to go check a manual, you have to search for things. So this gives you right offhand, one click, and you know exactly what that thing is and what to do with it. That is the easy part of Game Maker. The hard part of Game Maker is not really that much. It's just understanding the whole of everything, which is quite a lot of content that you have to grasp. But you don't actually have to memorize everything, because that middle mouse click gives you access to everything very quickly. I suppose the hardest thing for game development is just practice and getting better at what you're doing and understanding the engine better.
That does seem to be quite a bit of it. It's like, and that sounds somewhat like Unity development, not that streamlined, but, still, like Unity is also a good beginner's tool kind of engine from what I understand. Anyway, so shifting to the actual game itself, before we delve deeper into the actual development of Alpha Particle, I do have to catch myself not saying Alpha Protocol. Anyway, What is Alpha Protocol for those who might not know what this particular game is?
Well, Alpha Particle is a game of discovery. It's basically you are a newly created particle entity, and as you get born or made, you have no idea what you are, where you have to go, what's your purpose of life. So, in a sense of a way, the game starts a little bit difficult because you are lost in a way, and but then after a little bit, when you start figuring out what you're supposed to do, and a few AI robots on stations tell you a little bit about yourself, then you start picking up. It's largely a game of discovery, so you have to figure out things and test a few things and discover a few things to get a little bit further. But the further you get, the easier it becomes, but it also becomes harder in a sense. But you become more confident and you become more powerful. And another key point of Alpha Particle is it's in most of the part a non-combatant game system. So you have no guns, you have no shields. The only thing you can really do is run. So you have to use that to your advantage. So you can't go and shoot something. You have to try and lead it to to somewhere to kill it, or you have to find another creative way to destroy it. And that's basically, in a nutshell, what Alpha Particle is about.
I mean, it's certainly an interesting game. And yeah, there's actually quite a bit to unpack here. I suppose first we should delve into the origins of Alpha Particle. But where did you come across this idea? As like I said, I've never seen anything quite like Alpha Particle, and we do see quite a few games, quite a few out there games. When I think about it, like we just had a game that featured billiards in a dungeon. But anyway.
Yeah, well, to be honest, Alpha Particle is very unique, and because of its uniqueness, it's kind of hard to market and for people to understand. My entire life, whether it be music or art or everything, I always tend to draw to something different, something unique. So when I got Game Maker for the first time and I started playing around with it, within the first 3 months of figuring things out, I came up with this concept just by trying a few things out. And it was just this little dot with another little dot following one dot. And I made this little thing that you can lead it into. And I thought to myself, hey, that's a unique type of thing. And I Googled it a bit and I found nothing online that's got any type of game that's got that type of mechanics. So I'm like, hey, that's something new. So let's work on that. And I decided to try and make the game in about 3 or 4 months, and I overshot it by just a little bit. I finished it in 4 years, so I did a little bit of scope creeping. It's not really a good thing, but I'm quite happy with it because that just meant I got quite a large, long playable indie game, which is also quite unusual for indie games. I mean, the game is on average, if you play the game quite well, 20 to 30 hours to complete. So yeah, it's different. I can't say anything more than that. It's just different and a bit weird.
Definitely. And I'm like, did the scope creep come from just having more and more ideas as you went along?
Yes, part of that, but also my what's the word now? My skills in programming. As I was programming this, like I just started programming, so I realized that what I wanted to do with this game in 3 months and what my skills were didn't match up. So I thought to myself, hey, let me add some ideas, and while I'm learning Game Maker, I can just scope creep the hell out of this game while I'm learning and end up with a complete, proper product, rather than something that just took me 2 or 3 months to make, and I probably wouldn't have been too happy with it.
I mean, I guess another question that comes up is, what was the plan had you followed it initially? Like, if this were, a 3 months game jam game, like what was to be the next step in that evolution, if you can even remember at this stage?
Well, I wasn't really thinking about that, to be honest. All I was thinking is that I've gained a new skill. I finally gained the final skill that I need to progress my life further, and I was just so excited that I just kept on going, and then eventually, after about a year, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to put a date on this thing anymore. I'm just going to work on it until I'm 100% happy with it, and now it's done, and I can focus on other things. So I'm quite happy where I am.
Right. And I'm assuming you're a solo dev outfit.
I am, yes, but my wife has slowly but surely been joining me in game development, and she will doing art for my next games coming up as well. She's an artist.
Not a surprise there. We've had people whose, family or good friends join them in the endeavor of making a video game in one fashion or another.
Yeah.
Not just like game development, but the other side of things, like game marketing and all that jazz. Anyway, so was there a particular reason for the non-violent angle?
Not really. It was like I said, when I worked on the mechanic where I had this little dot following this other dot, it was just kind of how that mechanic worked out. And then as the time went on, I decided that's actually not a bad thing. Later on in the game, you unlock some power-ups called microns. Then you do have a little bit of firepower, but it's not really, you don't shoot or anything. There are some explosive powers that only last a very short moment, and you have to harvest it from certain materials. So it's like a sometimes powerful thing you have. But no, there wasn't really a solid reason for the non-combatant reason. It's not like I'm anti non-combatant games or anything like that. But yeah, it was just the way the mechanics worked out.
Fair enough. I mean, there are those games where it's just how it developed, and some where it is a statement. So, like,
yeah.
Granted, I'm not exactly sure if we could call the little particle here life as we know it. Like, the definition of life is complex. Let's say. I mean, we're like just in the real world, we're still debating to this very day if viruses are still alive.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's a bit immaterial to a game. But what made you turn this into, I guess, an exploration affair?
Well, I love exploration games, so a lot of what I love came through directly in this game. So I basically made a game that I would enjoy playing. And to be honest, after 4 years, I still play my game and I still enjoy it. So yeah, that's that.
I mean, that's actually really good, because 4 years is a long time on any project.
Yeah. I will be spending a lot less time on games in the future. This first project was more like an excitement getting into game development project and me wanting to make something really large and good for the first game. But I've got a lot of shorter games planned coming up soon, and quite a few free games I'll be making in the near future as well.
Okay. And before we touch upon that, so where is the alpha particle? Like, what is this stuff that we are looking at here? Is it a circuit board or is it a base? It's all a bit abstract.
Yeah, it's set in an entirely strange universe of a different life form that humans have never even concepted of. So it plays off in space stations, but these space stations are not like human space stations. Um, During the game, you will travel from one station to another station, and each station has its own AI, but it's all particle based. So everything there is microscopic in a way. So everything's very, very tiny. So if a human had to find the space station, he can probably fit it in his hand. And but the space stations are mostly designed in this world to train the specific particle to take them further into what is supposed to happen, which is, I'm not going to say, which is a bit of a spoiler. So it's a very strange alien world that it's difficult to grasp. So that's one of the difficult parts of the game when you start off with. It's discovering what you are and what you are doing there. And the real reason why you are around and where you are and what's happening only really comes out right at the end of the game, at the end cutscene.
Like, that makes sense. So would you say this is a very narrative-driven game?
Sorry,
A very narrative-driven game.
Yeah, sort of. But there isn't too much information, and the AI that speaks to you, they only vaguely tell you a few things. It's like they don't even know everything that's going on, but they know a little bit to tell you what's going on. It is narrative, but it's also largely discovering and puzzles and action, and there's a few horror moments. Well, I won't say horror, but it feels like horror moments. There are some dark levels and things chasing you and things. Yeah, it's kind of scary at moments too.
No doubt. Now, I know this is a different world with life not as we know it, but is any of like the movements or the physics, anything here based off of actual real world physics? Like, did you study like the motions of electrons or anything like that to make this game?
No. There's nothing really like that. I do use real world names, like the stations are named after like geographical measurements, like like Antipex and Periapsis and Node and things like that. And some elements, you have fire elements and helium and certain things like that. But that's mostly, to be honest, just to make it understandable to humans. If I had to make this thing like it was like I imagined it, like this weird alien world, then humans wouldn't understand a single thing of it. So yeah, there are some things, but it's not really scientifically accurate. It's just a game. It's more to point out that this is a strange world that we aren't really supposed to understand.
Okay. I was wondering about that because the term alpha particle or alpha particles is an actual thing in subatomic, well, actually atomic physics. Also alpha rays.
Yeah. But in the game, it's more like he's a particle and he needs to become alpha. Alpha means like a main particle, like you understand. So he has to be that's the purpose of his existence. He has to become alpha particle.
All right. More alpha in the terms of
alpha male.
Yeah. Anyway, so shifting to the gameplay side of things, is it all mini rooms and get chased by the red dots affairs, or are there puzzles? How does this all work?
Okay. Each station basically has 8 main levels, 1 boost level and 1 boss level. But that's another strange thing about this game. You won't find any of the important things you need at these places. There are places called restricted areas, which are hidden levels, which you have to find. And those places hold all your power-ups and your level-ups and all your important stuff. So if you aren't going to make the effort to discover, you won't get anywhere in this game. So hidden areas are hidden, as it suggests. So how do you find them? Well, you can just kind of forcibly look for them by hitting walls, or you can find little clues on the side of the wall that shows you this little gap. Or the best option would be to get an ability, which is a scanner, and the scanner you can use to scan for hidden areas, and the scanner ability you get very early in the game. Within the first station, near to the end of the station, you get that ability. Then once you get that ability and you find these hidden areas, the restricted areas, that is the key to the game. You have to find them, finish them, and that is where most of the puzzles are as well, in the hidden areas. So there are a few puzzles spread across the place. Some of them are quite easy. Most of them are quite easy. Some of them are quite hard. Some of them you have to do, and some of them you don't have to do. So like I said previously, it's largely a game of discovery.
Right. And I suppose shifting a bit to maybe some elements that had a bit more additional work on it. Like, did you create the music for this game?
Sorry, can I interrupt you quickly? You just found a hidden area, a restricted area that we were just speaking about, that you are playing on screen now. This is one of those restricted areas. It's going to be a bit of a spoiler, but I have an in system built into it. So if you die here a few times, the in system, oh, there you go. I think it just popped up there. The in system tells you that you won't be able to do this level right now, that you're not powerful enough, that you have to come back a little bit later. And once you discover this hidden area, it will be marked on the map. If you push M, you will see it's marked on the map. You can come back here at a later stage to complete it when you have upgraded or are a little bit more powerful or have more abilities.
I mean, it should be noted that usually we do our gameplay showcases live. Not all the time. Sometimes we do get footage. This is a live gameplay feed. So,
we do it when we can.
Yeah. This is usually why we ask for Steam codes if the game's been released. So okay. You know. Anyway, I suppose speaking of Steam codes, we should mention at this point that we are actually giving away 5 copies of Alpha Particle. And Petty Fan, why don't you give the people the details since you're the one who set it all up?
Alrighty. Basically, in our Discord, where is that? If you're in the chat, there's a link posted. There are other links throughout. And in the Discord, there is a room called Giveaways. All you have to do is use the React button on the most recent one that Giveaway bot posted that said Alpha Particle for Steam, and you'll be entered to win.
Nice. You should probably post a note about that in the actual Discord.
So, yeah.
But yeah, this contest will be going on for the next 72 hours from this broadcast.
Yes.
And we'll probably mention again on Last News Desk and certainly on Friday.
And on Twitter throughout the week.
Yeah. So, you know, don't worry if you miss the broadcast and can't get a code. This will run a bit. You know, we do take into account that not everyone might be here for the live show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so getting back to the game itself, what did you do for the music here? Did you create it? Did you have someone else fashion it? And what kind of style were you going for Alpha Particle here?
Well, the music was actually a bit of a... There was a bit of a problem with the music at the beginning. I had somebody contact me about 2 years into development. I haven't made any music for it yet. And this guy offered to make music for my game for free. And me being new in game development, I was like, wow, excited to go to the guy, great, let's do this. And 2 years later, after him developing music for me, when the game came close to releasing, we spoke again, and I spoke to him about the rights to the music, and when I researched it, I found out that I needed rights for the music. He didn't want to give me the rights to the music, and we didn't disagree. We didn't argue on it, but we disagreed on it, and I ended up not using his music. So this is about 6 months before the game released, and I am a producer myself. So I decided, okay, fine, I'll just have to put my head down, and I have to make some music for this now within 6 months. And within that 6 months, I made 41 tracks for the game, which is available on OST as well. And to be honest, when you're under pressure, you seem to produce a lot faster and a lot better than you are when you are not under pressure. So I was quite happy with this pressure. I'm quite happy with the soundtrack, and that's where we are at now. And so now I have a 41 track soundtrack, and it's all nice sci-fi. The style of the music is kind of like retro synthwave mixed with modern synthwave sci-fi music. It's kind of weird, but it fits well with the game. Each station has at least 5 or more unique tracks. So as you go further on in the game, new music gets released, and you hear new music. And I'm quite happy with how it turned out.
Well, that's certainly good to hear, because yeah, that was some bad tidings. Although
Yeah,
there probably, I mean, there probably was another solution if it, not optimal, but royalty-free music does exist.
yeah.
Like I said, not optimal, but sometimes when you're in a pinch.
I like creating everything myself. I like unique stuff. Or I won't say creating everything myself. I like unique stuff. So if I had other music in there, I wouldn't like to use royalty-free music. I believe if somebody hears a track and they must know or think of a particle, and if you use royalty-free music, then it's been used all over the place and it doesn't pertain exactly to your game. So I prefer to use everything original, whether it's mine or not. I prefer original.
Okay. And so something I'm interested to hear is, like, so at what point did you say enough? At what point did the ideas run out? At what point did you see the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel in terms of finishing up Alpha Particle here?
Well, that happened about a year ago when I decided that I would like to make more than one game in my life. And to be honest, I could go on for another 5 years with Alpha Particle with the amount of ideas I had. But I decided to put a stop on it and kill the scope creep. So I decided rather if I just finish the game, it's in a very completable state. And if it goes well, and if I want to, then I can always use all the other ideas I had on releasing Alpha Particle 2 in the near future. So that's still on the table. If people like Alpha Particle enough, and I feel energetic enough, maybe I'll make Alpha Particle 2 in the future. So I have plenty of ideas. It's all on paper. So if ever I wanted to revisit the idea, I have more than enough ideas for Alpha Particle 2.
I mean, that's good to hear. And how long ago did Alpha Particle get released?
In April this year.
Okay, so it's been out for a few months. What's been the reception?
Well, to be honest, not as as exhilarating as I would have hoped, but it's got some good response. Like I said earlier on, it's nice to have unique features and unique mechanics in your game, but sometimes that can also cause your game not to be as popular because people don't seem to understand this. People understand things they've seen before. People understand things they've played before. I've had quite a few streamers play my game, and I watch them play, and a lot of them are quite confused because it's a mechanic that they don't seem to understand. After about a half an hour to hours play, that obviously eases up a bit. So the response to Alpha Particle, to be honest, not that great. Uh, on account of sales, I'm talking about now. On the perception of the game, people seem to like it. People play it, but on the popularity of it, we are not there yet. But I can't expect it to be there yet either. I'm not a master at marketing. I'm just a baby at marketing. I only started trying marketing about a year ago, which I should have started literally 4 years ago. So um, on the strange mechanics and me not marketing good enough, Off Particle is not doing that great. But it's my first game. I can't complain. Doing better than I would. It's doing okay. And in the future, my next games will do a lot better because I'll be better at marketing and I'll be more experienced in doing everything. It's also a tough world. The market is extremely saturated. The day I released Alpha Particle, a few hours later, I checked, and more than 50 games got released that same day on Steam.
Sounds
So
about
now you're
right.
competing with more than 50 games released on one day, and this is not a fluke or anything. This is what happens every day on Steam. There's a plethora of games being released, and your game just gets lost in this ocean of games. So if your marketing game is not up to par, you're going to suffer.
I mean, yeah, that's not an uncommon refrain from various other indie developers we've had on releasing games on Steam. Like, I suppose, have you looked into releasing Alpha Particle on any other platform, or is it out on any other platform other than Steam?
Yeah, I just released Alpha Particle on itch a few weeks ago, and I'm looking at GOG in the near future and maybe Game Jolt. I'm still checking out Game Jolt because I want to make sure Game Jolt's the right fit. It seems like Game Jolt is more for smaller game jam games mostly, so maybe
Right.
I'll skip that one. But I definitely want to take a look at GOG,
Yep.
and there are a few other places coming up, but that's the main ones.
Makes sense. I suppose the other, like the Epic Game Store. I mean, just today they introduced the beta for the self-publishing on that storefront. So that's
Yeah, cool. I will definitely look at that as well then.
yeah. And plus, we know a platform distribution service called Vox Pop.
Yes, actually, I've got them on my list as well. Yeah, I actually like VoxPop. It's they've got a nice little system. They connect their streamers with the developers,
Yeah.
and they stream for a percentage of your sales, which is great. It's like a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, we did an interview with the CEO last season. Now, he's certainly enthusiastic about his platform, like, and
Yeah.
wish him success because, yeah, Steam, as as big as it is, can be literally soul crushing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Steam only really works for you if you put a lot of effort in it, or if you have a lot of people behind it, bring a lot of effort in it. If you can't just put a game there and expect it's going to sell. You have like a 1% chance if you think that's going to happen. So you have to take advantage of all of Steam's algorithms and how it works and everything. And I'm not very good at that. I've dabbled in it, and I've done a few things like visibility rounds and this and that, but still I'm not very good with it. And to be honest, Steam is like this giant black hole. If you go in there, it is confusing as hell and unintuitive as hell. It gets the job done, but when I did itch a few weeks ago, I was dumbstruck at the ease of doing things. What I did on Steam in a month, I did on itch in an hour. No jokes. That is how easy itch is compared to Steam. But Steam has the larger user base, and if you use their tools correctly, I believe that you will make very good sales.
Right then. So before we conclude things this evening, I suppose it would be prudent to ask, what do you have cooking next in development?
Well, I have a few ideas coming up. Like I said earlier on, one of my plans is to make a couple of short free games to try and boost the company function unknown a bit, and to get maybe even draw some sales towards Alpha Particle, and to up my programming skills as well on the same. Um, I don't really want to say exactly what I'm working on because everything I'm working on currently is concept. I did just do a game jam for Game Maker, Opera, and uh, if I don't win this competition, that little game I made will be one of the little free games that I've made. It took me 2 weeks to make. It's a very fun little game. You can play 2 players on a local co-op on one keyboard, and it's an endless runner, but it's not an endless runner. It's more like an endless battle. It's a mashup between Pong, Arkanoid, and Space Invaders. So it's a very strange mashup, but it works well. And once again, like I said earlier on, the little mini games I make will be very unique and very different. So keeping true to the function unknown style. And whatever I'm making next, it's going to be not as intense as Alpha Particle. It won't take me 4 years to make. I'm planning on putting a cap of 3 to 4 months on a game, and sometimes even less than that if it works. And after about a year or so of doing that, then maybe I will decide on a heavier project again. Maybe something larger, maybe even Alpha Particle 2.
Okay then. Right. I'll see if my cohorts here have any further questions for you.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, it looks interesting, but I don't have any questions that come to mind.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Awesome.
Anyway, so Bruce, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and joining us here this week. It looks very interesting, and we enjoyed showcasing it here today. Indeed, if you out there want to get in on the Alpha Protocol action, once again, we are running a contest for the next 3 days, giving out 5 codes in our Discord. Details are going to be pinned to this particular episode, and also in the Discord, I think.
Yep.
In case one of our people who are already there want to grab the game. And also, if you enjoyed this interview, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification icon, do all the things you need to do to keep abreast and when we go live. But in the meantime, Petty Fan, play us to the next section. All right, welcome to the topic of discussion. So I'm assuming everyone here watched the Pokemon Presents today?
I did.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so we are talking about that because we got a lot of updates. Far more, far more than I was expecting, actually. Like, I was expecting updates on the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and Pokemon Legends. But, we got an update on, like, all of the mobile games that I guess are active. Is Pokemon Quest still a thing?
I don't remember.
I only know that it recently, I think, got an update in, like, one fucking region. They didn't mention that.
Right. Yeah, so here's the rundown of what happened at the Pokemon Presents. First, we got Pokemon Unite, another Pokemon spin-off thing you might have forgotten existed, but that could be attributed to the fact that it's only on the Nintendo Switch right now.
Do you like Dota? Do you like Pokemon What if they were mixed together?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has some pay-to-win elements, and it's Tencent and et cetera, et cetera.
So it's Dota.
Yeah. Like, anyway, the big news about Pokemon Unite is it's coming to mobile devices on September 22nd. Trying to remember if this is the one that has the reserve function with it. I think you can. I remember one of these having you can go right now on iOS or Android and reserve the game for when it comes out proper. Yeah, I thought it was this one.
It's pre-registration or something like that.
Yeah. Like, I'm not exactly sure why you would do that, because are they thinking that there's such a demand for Pokemon Unite that they've got to, get a free
more
release?
auto downloads
it's popular with some people.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's just very alien to me because it's a free-to-play game. It's not a thing that can disappear because all the copies are gone.
Yeah, I think it's more just, hey, let you know, hey, this is out, and just so you don't forget about it with all the deluge of things on the various app stores.
I think part of it is you do get like a couple of in-game bonuses if you pre-do that, not like big ones. But also, I think if they get a lot of downloads like first day or whatever, that counts well for their analytics or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Possibly. They also confirmed that Mamoswine and Sylveon are confirmed as new characters.
Sylveon, not particularly surprising. Mamoswine is kind of interesting. That's not exactly a big name line, but they're fun.
Let's see, moving forward, Pokemon Cafe Mix, which I actually do occasionally play on my phone. It's okay.
It's getting remixed.
Yeah. Which is perhaps not the... I get why they went with the title, but it seems like it's getting more stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, they really showed that new power-up off. They didn't name it, so I don't know what it's called. But, yeah, Pokemon Cafe Remix is coming fall to 2021. Yeah, no actual release date there. Like, let's see. Pokemon Masters EX. Yeah, you might not have realized that there are a lot of Pokemon spin-offs on mobile devices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Masters EX is interesting because
it's the other gacha game, if I recall.
It is a gacha game. I'm just interested that it went a very different way. And like every Pokemon in that game only has one type, and that's kind of weird because in actual Pokemon, most Pokemon have two types.
Mm-hmm.
Odd.
And you have, instead of basically you have your character who can change their Pokemon, and then a bunch of other characters that it's like a character paired with a Pokemon, and generally they have like two actual moves, one special move that doesn't actually exist in the games that's based on the trainer character, an item, and then like an ultimate move or something. And other than that, I don't know too much about the gameplay.
I mean, I stay away from gacha games, so
mostly, yeah. The outfits are interesting.
I mean,
and Masters EX is an outright gacha game.
Yeah, I mean,
Go, for example, isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it has gacha elements, but it's not.
Yeah. I mean, Pokemon Masters EX is from DNA, which is, a fucking Japanese mobile developer. So, of course, they're into the gacha. I'd be more surprised if they weren't. Anyway, Pokemon Masters EX is getting Dynamaxing. As well as
several... that'll be balanced well.
Like it was in Sword and Shield?
It's a fucking gacha game. But it's going to be so unbalanced, it's going to be comical. Yeah, and it's getting several events to celebrate its 2-year anniversary. I cannot be arsed to remember those events.
One of them is they're adding Cygnus Suit N with a fancy outfit, and Cygnus Suit Leon with Eternatus is already up, and that is quite an outfit.
Once again, gotcha game.
I do like the designs they do for the human characters in it, because there are alternate color versions and then entirely alternate outfits for a lot of the human characters, and most of them are characters from Pokemon games.
Anyway, so not to be left out, Pokemon Go got a update announcement. Yep. I know there's a lot of people who think Pokemon Go just stopped being a thing.
The pandemic was probably one of its most profitable years ever.
Yeah, I'm still playing it, but I'm very annoyed because they recently reverted the. They had doubled the distance you could be from a Pokestop or gym to be able to interact with it during the pandemic, and they reverted that back to allegedly 40 meters, but sometimes I swear it's less than 40 feet.
40 inches if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's
yeah.
It still exists. They're releasing some Galar region Pokemon. Not many of them, but this is notable because otherwise they've been going in order. And just last year, I think they started introducing a few Pokemon from Kalos. But I guess Hoopa, who is also from Kalos, is playing around and making them skip Alola entirely. And also, we still only have like 10, 12 Pokemon from Kalos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, Zakan? How do you pronounce that?
Oh yeah, Zacian and Zamazenta are coming to raids soon. They're also Galar.
Yeah, they're the legendaries, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the Galar events will start with the Eternius battle, kicking off on August 20th. And that's it for the Pokemon spin-offs. Like I said, there's a lot of them, which is not surprising because it's Pokemon. Like Pokemon's like the only Nintendo franchise that likes spin-offs more than Mario, I think. Anyway, but that gets us to the co-main event, which is we got a detailed look at Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
And it looks less shit now.
Yeah, someone pointed out that apparently code optimization is not the first thing you do when you're making a new game, and that's part of why the frame rate and visual fidelity was not great on either of these to start with.
No, but we really don't know what happened behind the scenes. So keep in mind, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are not being developed by Game Freak themselves. I'm trying to remember the name of the company. They're likewise a small developer who, doesn't make Ilka. There we go. Yeah. Once again, I think that's the thing that continually stuns people about Pokemon. It's like the most profitable video game franchise when you take all the merch and spin-offs and all that stuff, rakes in a lot of money. It's got some really modest production values. And that's mainly because Pokemon has never scaled up like you'd expect it to. Obviously, it's scaled up from, its Game Boy to Switch journey. But, and I think we've covered this before, like when people were going nuts over the lack of production upscale with Pokemon Sword and Shield, that would require Game Freak to become a much, much bigger company.
Yeah, Game Freak actually isn't all that big.
No, they're not. I forget their actual like employee head count, but I think it's like something like between 50 and 100 people, which is big for up until the Switch, the dedicated handheld space. But it's not big in terms of AAA, especially console AAA game development. Like, people are expecting Pokemon to get the fucking production values of, say, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
That's not Pokemon's jam, unfortunately.
People are expecting Nintendo R&D 1 to be behind this, not, an at best 100 some odd development team.
But anyway, Game Freak is on the other game that they're talking about today.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as Diamond and Pearl, the remakes seem to have gone down a lot better this time.
They announced the return of a lot of features that people were... Well, they announced a lot of stuff that people were expecting. They were very circumspect about the identities of a few characters that everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
They announced the return of several features that people were hoping would return, such as the Underground and I don't know why, but I think some people wanted the Super Contests to come back. And they seem to have changed some of them interestingly. But also, they announced a few features that people really weren't expecting to come back, and then a couple of things that people just weren't expecting. Period. Like ball seals. They're stickers now, and they're probably not going to have the letter one, so you can't make your Pokemon say naughty things when they come out of the Pokeball. But you can make it have fancier effects, which is nice. And then following Pokemon and changeable outfits are both things that nobody actually expected that are nice to have.
Yeah. I suppose the biggest feature that's being added to the remakes here is a thing called Pokemon Hideaways.
Yeah, which is part of the Underground thing. Since the entirely local function of the Underground is a bit different on the Switch, since the Switch doesn't have separate... I mean, it does, but it uses the same interaction interface usually.
Yeah.
For online versus local Wi-Fi. That in addition to the stuff there, they're also making it a place to catch random Pokemon based on partially on the statues you put in your secret base, which is one of the places they're probably going to make Pokemon that were not originally available in the games available or available earlier.
Well, I mean, they flat out said some Pokemon can only be found here.
Mm-hmm.
So
that could also be ones that are not available.
Right.
Oh no, wait! I'm thinking of Platinum, because there were some Pokemon in Platinum that are in Diamond and Pearl that you couldn't get either of, or whatever. But yeah, so there'll be some Pokemon that you can get that way, which I'm all for interesting ways of doing that, and hopefully it won't be as bad as the actual Safari Zone, which also hopefully they improve the Great Marsh a little bit from the Safari game, because everybody likes the idea of having a Safari Zone, but if anybody tells me they actually like the idea of having basically coin flip choices of catching Pokemon that you run into at coin flip rates in an area that costs money to get into for every short amount of steps, and you have to use enough of those steps to go to the places, and also there are rare items that you have to go in at least once or twice for, I will call that person a fucking liar.
He has opinions on this.
A little bit. Little bit.
Yeah.
Like, no, the idea of it's cool, but they should let you have a Pokemon to catch things with, like they did in the bug catching contest in Gen 2 or something.
Anyway, I think the other big addition, certainly what they showed off, is the rhythm game.
They're changing the way super contests work, so that instead of just being... I mean, there was a small rhythm component, but yeah, they're making it much more in-depth, and it looks better in 3D than it does with, dancing sprites.
Yeah. Anyway, the games are still coming out on November 19th. This is probably going to be the actual biggest games that Nintendo's releasing this year because I know they're remakes, but they're Pokemon remakes. We know how well Pokemon sells. And also to go along with this, they are releasing a new Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Switch Lite, which is based off of the original Special DS that they put
I
out.
actually had that. The DS Lite with the Dialga. It's the same Dialga and Palkia designs on the back.
Yeah.
It looks really cool, but it's not as good on a Switch Lite where they're just on the back of the console where you won't normally see it, than on a DS Lite where they're on the cover when it's closed.
Right.
My opinion.
Yes.
But it's a classy color scheme and the art is nice.
Yeah. Anyway, to wrap this up, the other participant in the co-main event of Pokemon is, of course, Pokemon Legends. Pokemon Legends. So we finally got a sense of what Pokemon Legends is actually going to be. Mm-hmm. And I guess the best way I could put it is, what if Pokemon by way of Monster Hunter?
Yeah. Apparently the overworld is going to be broken up into areas you can go to rather than being totally free roaming, unless there's also a totally free roaming mode. But you do have to worry about getting attacked by aggressive Pokemon in the wild. Mm-hmm. They added a tweak to the combat system regarding how speed is determined to give it you can have a chance of being able to go more than once in a row, and you can use your moves to make them faster but less powerful, or slower but stronger, and that's definitely. Look, that's not something that gets tweaked often in Pokemon, so it's very interesting to see what they'll do, to see how that'll play.
Yeah. And you can catch them in real time with a Pokeball. This is a lot.
Friendlier Pokemon you can just chuck balls at.
Yeah.
As I watched Rick D-Pad's reaction to it afterwards, and they said some Pokemon will be wary and run away, or you'll have to fight them. And then he commented, Bidoof, on the other hand, has no survival instincts, because the first clip they showed of Pokemon interaction was Bidoof literally walking up to your character and like raising its hand.
And as far as the story, which they put a lot of emphasis on, because it's taking place in what is going to be known as the Sinnoh region, but it's being called the Hisui region.
It's a normal Japanese word that means jade, which occurred to me. There's a bit of a joke with Pokemon Diamond and Jade there.
Right. And this is and it's kind of like Mount Coronet is the focal point. We don't know why, outside of the
It's the center of the region. It's where Arceus lives.
Well, I mean, the reason why Arceus is connected to the Pokemon Survey Corps member journey.
Also, yes, the Galaxy Team Survey Corps, which is totally not related to Team Galactic in any way, and that one lady is totally not Cyrus's ancestor. Although there was also the leader, Kamado, also looks like Professor Rowan. There's a lot of like, oh hey, guess what? It's the same as someone who will be here 400 years later,
right?
Or it's less than 400.
X number of years later.
It actually takes place fairly close to modern times, it looks like.
I think it's like 400 years in the past.
I think it's more like 100.
Could be. Like, I'm not sure if they've actually announced the timescale here.
They have stuff from other regions.
Right.
There doesn't seem to be like a PC system necessarily, but just between the style and stuff, it doesn't look like they're going like full on Inuyasha.
Fair enough. And we would be remiss that they revealed some new Pokemon.
Yes, they revealed
Rhyhorn.
Hisuian forms of a couple of existing Pokemon, namely Growlithe, which looks like it's kind of turning into more of a classic Shisa design, and Braviary, which looks like it's taken a bit of a thing from Galarian Articuno. It's psychic type now and has big psychic eyes on its forehead in addition to a striking color scheme.
And the new ones are Rhydeer, Roan.
Weird Deer.
Weird Deer.
It's actually a fairly close translation of its Japanese name.
Still, I can see the pun.
It's a weird deer, yes.
And the how do they fucking pronounce?
Legion.
Yeah, Basque Legion, which is basically the Gyarados of this area.
It's smaller than that, and you can ride it. But yes, it's very, Basculin is already a pretty aggressive fish thing, and this is one that has been empowered by see, they swim upstream to spawn, and a lot of them die. So this is like one that's possessed by a lot of other ones.
Right.
So it's water ghost now, and that should be interesting.
Right. Also, three guesses.
Weird Deer, I initially thought, and still think it looks like it could easily be just a regional variation of Stantler, because really the only difference is it's white, it has a beard, and its antlers are more angled. But then I realized that by making it a regional evolution, instead they can give it a higher base stat total than Stantler, which will definitely be helpful, because Stantler is not known for... Actually, it's not known for many things. It's mostly known for being forgettable, but it's also not known for being good.
Someone out there, Stantler is their favorite Pokemon.
It's a perfectly decent Pokemon. It's just like not strong in combat usually.
Yeah.
Oh, and Weird Deer is a psychic normal now.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Stantler already had some psychic moves.
So of the four, who do you think is the most popular Pokemon?
I have seen a lot of fan art of Little Shisa Growlithe. But I think it's hard to say, because I've also seen a lot of people saying that Basque Legion is cool. I think the general opinion on Weird Ear is mostly that it's not different enough, but not in a bad way.
I like on the social media, I've definitely seen a lot of Growlithe at the early stage.
Well, they knew it was going to be popular, because if you purchase the game early, like within a certain amount of, like a couple of months after it comes out, you can get a Growlithe color scheme outfit for your characters.
Yeah.
There's also an actual pre-order bonus, which is apparently a Garchomp color themed outfit.
Yeah.
They have not announced where to pre-order that from in the US, although in Japan apparently it's at Amazon.
Yeah. And perhaps most importantly, they revealed the release dates.
And Pokemon Home compatibility will be coming for all of these games sometime in 2022.
Yeah, it's post-launch, which has got people pissed because.
See, I actually think that's a good idea.
I know. I'm just saying what the reaction's been,
because it lets them limit what Pokemon are in the game at first.
But yeah, this is coming out January 22nd, 2022. So it's going to be the first game out for Nintendo's 2022 slate. And, you know, honestly, this is the most interesting Pokemon's looked in a while. Because, like,
they're actually changing up the formula.
Yeah, actually changing up the formula a bit is interesting.
Well, you can definitely tell that the staleness of Pokemon's been setting in, given the reaction to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like, you know, I know the controversy about that was perhaps overblown, but I do generally agree that the production values of the mainline Pokemon games probably should have taken some kind of jump from barely 3DS.
Yeah, they haven't really been keeping up with expectations.
Like, their big fucking technological feat for, and I remember this from the reveal trailer, was, oh, you can move the camera now. Oh, what a boon!
And that's not even in every area.
Yeah, you can really only do that in the wild area.
It's really nice in the wild area and on the islands, especially in the DLC areas, which are much more interestingly designed than the default wild. Even by the DLC things, it seems like they have gotten better at 3D area design.
Well, I mean, they seem to be feeling a lot more confident, given that they're doing a semi-open world action RPG thing. So, like I said, this actually has ambition behind it. Like, it may not take, but it's at the very least, it's something new. It's something that you wouldn't have seen on the fucking 3DS or the DS or a previous fucking console or handheld. Well, console, they never really, they never developed the Pokemon games in the console, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, this is probably what Pokemon Switch should be. So, anyway, any other things to close out the Pokemon Presents?
Not really. I'm looking forward to both of these games, though.
All right. So, yeah, it's about time to wrap up another episode of Fragments of Silicon. Once again, remember, we do have the contest for the 5 codes of Alpha Particle running in our Discord. We will mention this again. And for the week ahead. So we do have another, I believe we do have an episode of Last News Desk on the Left on tap for about 10 minutes from now. Probably going to be 25, let's be honest. But on Friday, we will be having Dune of Fun Selector. Name's probably not ringing a bell, but you might be familiar with the game that they just released on the Xbox and ecosystem, Game Pass, I think, and Switch. And that is Art of Rally. This is actually an indie game that's been kind of taking the world by storm. I don't know how actually popular that makes it, but I've definitely seen this in fucking presentations and sizzle reels and all that jazz. So, and coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Chromatic Fantasy, A Little Lily Princess, Sun Wukong vs. Robot, and Goop Loop. So until, just a few minutes from now, I shall wish you good gaming.